We're going to review siman tough kuf sadi zayin that we spent a little bit of time on. In the next two very short simanim, we have around 10 minutes or so left of our daily session. Just finished tough Rish Bays early. Now's a good time to do it. These are the notes that I wrote up on this siman, summarizing this siman that we learned. This is in the larger Word document of the whole Chelik Vav. That's why it shows 165 pages. If you were curious. But the only thing that we need over here is this. Eating and drinking in Rosh Hashana. Is it a mitzvah to do so? So the Torah says that we eat, drink, and rejoice on Rosh Hashanah. We should not fast at all on Rosh Hashanah. Yosef and Shulchan Aruch quote a Gudda who says that people should not completely fill their stomachs on Rosh Hashanah in order that they won't have levity. Okay. The truth of the matter is, the Rambam always recommends not completely filling up your stomach when you eat in Hilchos Deos Perek Daled. In fact, the Rambam says that you should always leave a quarter left. I think a quarter or a third, he says. I get confused. But the point is, you want to leave a significant amount that you're not totally full. And the Rambam also says over there that most sicknesses, most people get sick because they overeat. They're eating the wrong items. So it's very important what we eat. He says that we shouldn't just eat what tastes good and sweet. Think long term. Eat what is good for your body. You'll focus better. You'll be better. Mishnah Berurah says that the mitzvah is samachta bechagecha. Rejoicing on your holiday applies on Rosh Hashanah. Practically, samachta bechagecha manifests itself from a halachic perspective regarding the consumption of meat. This is why Shulchan Aruch says that we eat, drink, and rejoice on Rosh Hashanah. Similarly, Shagas Aryeh rules that it's prohibited to fast on Rosh Hashanah, and one must rejoice on Rosh Hashanah like the other holidays. It is also implied from the Maharil this way. Maharil rules that an Ovel may not daven on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur because there are even happier times than Shabbos, meaning Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah. Since Avelim aren't allowed to daven on Shabbos as Chazan, they certainly aren't allowed to daven on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Furthermore, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and the days of Avelus, unlike Shabbos, meaning if a person is in the second day of Avelus and then Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur comes, Avelus is over. It goes straight to Shloshim after either Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashanah. But if that would be the case by Shabbos, the Avelus will continue after Shabbos. So you see that Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is a higher level. Mariel then concludes by stating that all of the leniencies of the happiness of Rosh Hashanah is like the other holidays, are like the other holidays. Meaning, like we just discussed. Mr. Jabit says it is implied from the Rambam that Rosh Hashanah is equivalent to the other holidays regarding rejoicing. It is also implied from a Gemara in Avodah Zarah that there are 4 times when many animals are purchased in order to slaughter them. One of those times is the eve of Rosh Hashanah. Rashi explains that Rosh Hashanah is a Yom Tov, and we begin and we eat meat. Okay? So, meat. That's where it comes from. It's also implied from Mishnah Berurah and Hilchos Yom Tov that there's an obligation to eat meat on Rosh Hashanah. However, Bach relates the Marshal would not have fish on Rosh Hashanah in order to decrease his desires. Similarly, Magen Avraham relates that the Magen Mishnah wouldn't have meat and wine on Rosh Hashanah. And I think what this means is what it means. This means that he wouldn't have wine other than for Kiddush. Also, the Mishnah Berurah explains that even if it is prohibited to fast on Rosh Hashanah, nevertheless, the halachas of rejoicing and eating meat and drinking wine do not apply. Similarly, Shulchan Aruch Harav says that we do not need to rejoice on Rosh Hashanah like other holidays. We do not need to rejoice by eating meat and drinking wine. However, there's still kavod and oneg Yom Tov because the pasuk says Mikrei Kodesh. In other words, there's a distinction between if there's an official v'samachta b'chagecha, do you need to rejoice, which is accomplished by eating meat and wine, or is it just a kavod and oneg, giving honor and enjoying in the pleasures? Okay, so the point of the matter is to summarize this summary. There's a major discussion as to the Geder B'davar of the mitzvah v'samachta b'chagecha. Does this apply? Is there a chi of gamor v'samachta b'chagecha, rejoicing through consuming meat and drinking wine on Rosh Hashanah and on Rosh Hashanah? Seems like there's different ideas that we're grappling with over here. Two ideas to point out is number one, this idea of you see that these few rabbis wouldn't have meat or fish. The point is to have one less item to show that it's a serious time, decrease the desires. And number two is this idea over here. The Beis Yosef Shulchan Aruch says, don't completely fill up your stomach. So take it down a notch on Rosh Hashanah. That's what we see in terms of how lavish or their lack of the meal should be.
Now, when they say basar, do they actually mean just behema or including of?
Yeah, that's always the discussion. We'll have to see more about that in Siman Tov Kov Chav Tez. I mean, in terms of the halachas of the 9 days, even you see that there's leniencies, right? It's brought down over there in the halachas, which we'll learn eventually, that if someone, maybe even myself, I always joke that I probably have this het there. I obviously don't apply it, but if someone gets stomach aches and they have pains if they just eat dairy, so then milchiks, so then they could in fact have chicken, because the real problem is the actual meat. So when we say meat, the real definition of meat is not chicken, it's meat. Okay, so there's a difference between the two. Okay, Taz says that from the fact that Elisha ate on Rosh Hashanah, we see that it is prohibited to fast on Rosh Hashanah. Taz concludes by stating that this is a proof that cannot be refuted. Now, the truth of the matter is, even though the Taz says that what I just said cannot be refuted, we're able to refute this in three different ways. First of all, we saw the Chachma Shlomo. He refutes this by stating that it was only prohibited to fast on Rosh Hashanah when the Beis Hamikdash was around and there were kabbanos. Okay? Fasting wasn't necessary because we had the kabbanos. Conversely, nowadays that we don't have the Beis Hamikdash and karbanos, it would be permitted to fast on Rosh Hashanah. Even so, we shouldn't fast on Rosh Hashanah in order to demonstrate that we believe that our judgment will be successful. So the idea is that this isn't a proof. Nowadays that we don't have the karbanos, it could be maybe we would need to fast to help. Okay? But even so, we should not fast. Why? To show that we believe that our judgment will be successful. Why? Even though Hashem knew that Avram would withstand the tests, 10 tests, nevertheless, he needed to be physically tested. The same applies to us. We have to physically eat and drink in Rosh Hashanah in order to demonstrate that we are confident that our judgment will go well. We'll be successful, we'll go well, fine. That's reason number one, how you could refute this task. Prohibited to fast on Rosh Hashanah. That was only back then. Refutation number two, Eli Rabbah says that it could be that Elisha was only offered food but didn't actually eat. Prima Gadim rejects that since she was an important woman who offered Elisha food. He definitely ate. Way to refute this number three. Chassam Sofer says that the episode occurred when Rosh Hashanah fell out on Shabbos. Everyone would agree that one shouldn't fast. Chassam Sofer then explains that there is a mitzvah to eat on Rosh Hashanah since the Pasuk calls Rosh Hashanah a Yom Tov, a holiday. So if Rosh Hashanah falls out on Shabbos, for sure you're not allowed to fast. That was the case that happened in the time of Elisha. He then says that there's a mitzvah to eat on Rosh Hashanah because the pasuk calls Rosh Hashanah a Yom Tov, still a mitzvah to eat, a holiday. Question is, where does Chassam Sofer see that in the psukim? You have to go through the psukim there and see, or the tshuva, where the Chassam Sofer says this. But all right, this is basically the summary of Tafkov Sadi Zayin. Then to summarize the next two very super duper short simanim, Sadi Ches and Tes, Shulchan Aruch says that when Rosh Hashanah falls out on Shabbos, we say Tzchas Sedek. Ramah says that we do not say Tzchas Sedek when Rosh Hashanah falls out on Shabbos. Mishnah Berurah explains that the reason to say Tzchas is since Rosh Hashanah, the time of judgment. The reason not to say it is since Rosh Hashanah is a holiday and Rosh Chodesh. Next Siman, Shulchan Aruch says when Rosh Hashanah falls out on Moshe Shabbos, we say V'todienu. So this is basically the summary we're up to now. This is where my notes end for Rosh Hashanah. And we're getting closer to attaching the first siman of Yom Kippur to the last simanim of Rosh Hashanah, last like 6, 7. So yeah, big chus when you attach it, man. When you have a shlemus. And so basically what's next is we're going to be learning siman Tafresh Aleph. It's a short siman. We're going to do that. And then we're going to do Tafresh Gimel. Tafresh Gimel. We're going to spend some more time on that. And assuming we have time, then we'll do Taf.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Shkaya.
Continue tomorrow. Yeah.
Sorry to harp on it.